Now, good evening and welcome to the broadcast tonight, the 3rd day of February 2025 rather. My name is Sammy Adika and our sign language interpreter is the amazing Boniface Mureithi. Starting us off tonight, National Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi says that the Kenya Kwanza government has made major strides in steering the economy towards the right trajectory. Now, speaking during an engagement with Kenyans at the Bunge la Mwananchi Forum in Jivanji Gardens, Nairobi, Mbadi acknowledged that the country is not doing well economically, but it's making positive moves as affirmed by credit rating agency Moody's, which said Kenya debt repayment capability had improved. Now highlighting some of the efforts his office is putting to address critical challenges Kenya is currently facing, the Treasury Cabinet Secretary reiterated his commitment in steering development without discrimination.
And I want to start away by saying that the positions that we hold are delegated positions. We are here courtesy of the people of Kenya. We have been given delegated authority. If it were possible, all Kenyans would be at the National Treasury signing documents and approving budgets or preparing budgets. But because it is not possible, a few of us would be privileged enough, courtesy of the people of Kenya, to sit in those offices. When we sit in those offices, therefore, duty calls on us to be accountable to the people of Kenya. Remember last year we went through in this country something we have never experienced before. We almost had a civil unrest in this country. Why? Because there was perception among Kenyans that they were not being listened to, that nobody was prepared to give them a listening ear. We must do things differently. We must learn. We have learned. I have learned as the Cabinet Secretary in charge of National Treasury. That is why I have come here to engage with you early enough when the budgeting process is still at its very early stages, so that I can also hear from you a few things. Number one is what the Kenyans consider as priority in their lives. That is very important for us to inform the budgeting process.
Well, away from matters economy, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki is now calling on leaders from northern Kenya to preach peace and shun divisive politics in a bid to spur development in the region. Speaking during a consultative forum with leaders and opinion shapers from Samburu County, the second-in-command urged those opposed to development projects to give way for the residents to benefit. Kindiki also took the opportunity to assure the residents that through the Ministry of Interior, the government will ensure banditry is fully put to sleep.
Sababu watu wengi wanaendesha mambo ya uongozi na kuchanganya na fitina na siasa na mambo mengi hapo katikati na ubinafsi. Na tumesahau kutofautisha kama taifa la Kenya tofauti ya siasa za uchaguzi na maneno ya maendeleo katikati ya uchaguzi moja na uchaguzi mwingine. Between one election and another, there is work to be done. And for that work to succeed, we need the support of every person and every stakeholders pulling in the same direction. Tofauti ya nchi zinazoendelea kama nchi yetu ya Kenya na nchi zilizoendelea ni moja. Kama tu sisi wanafanya siasa kali na siasa ya kuchemka, lakini kwa muda mfupi wakati wa kampeni. Uchaguzi ukipita, basi waliochaguliwa hao ndio viongozi wetu. Wale wanataka kuwapinga wanangojea uchaguzi mwingine. Kwa sababu ule ambaye hakupata safari hii, Mungu atamjalia apate siku hiyo ingine. Lakini hapa katikati, uchaguzi mmoja, uchaguzi mwingine, tuko na kazi ya kufanyia wananchi. That is the only way as leaders we can make a statement. We can prove that actually those who are in leadership and those who are seeking leadership in future, our goal is not personal, it is people-centered.
Now, Environment and Lands Court Judge Mohamed Nur Kulo is relieved after the tribunal formed to investigate his conduct and charges brought against him cleared him of all the 13 charges. Now, the tribunal, chaired by Court of Appeal Judge Patrick Kiage, has recommended to President William Ruto that Justice Koulo be reinstated to continue serving as a judge. Now, James Mashera tells us more.
Following his suspension by President William Ruto on 8th of March 2024, through the recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission JSC that gazetted a tribunal to investigate him, Justice Mohamed Koulo was among 4 judges referred to President Ruto for the tribunal investigations into their conduct. However, the tribunal has cleared Justice Koulo of all the 13 charges brought against him, including delay in delivery of rulings and judgments, failure to respond to the Chief Justice, and retainment of court files, hence denying party to appeal for a case among other charges.
Under that careful consideration and the finding that we have made on allegations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 13, have not been proved to the required extent, we find that the judge's conduct was not in breach of the Judicial Service Act, Code of Conduct and Ethics Regulations 2020, and did not amount to gross misconduct contrary to Article 168 1B and E of the Constitution. In accordance with Article 168 7B of the Constitution, we therefore, Your Excellency, recommend that Your Excellency do reinstate the Honorable Judge to the office of Judge of the Environment.
On his part, the head of state commended the tribunal and emphasized the need to adhere to the rule of law despite one's social status or position. He said Kenya is a democratic country governed by the constitution and laws, and further stressed on the need for state officers to carry out their duty with integrity and by observing the law.
That Kenya shall continue to be the country that we all want it to be, the country of the rule of law. And all of us, irrespective of who we are, will submit ourselves to the rule of law in whatever manner. And the law has a way of making sure that everybody's interest and everybody's rights are protected.
The 7-member tribunal is also expected to carry out investigation among other judges in the judiciary over allegations of gross misconduct. James Machera, reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, Nairobi.
Well, many thanks, James Machera, for the report. Now, a group of university students have expressed their frustrations over delays in the disbursement of loans, which has left many struggling to manage their daily expenses. On Monday, students from the University of Nairobi gathered at the Higher Education's Loans Board HELB offices at the anniversary towers to voice their concerns. Meanwhile, fellow students from Kenyatta University also took to the streets, blocking both sides of the busy Thika Superhighway in protest against the same issue. Now, the action rendering the highway near the university impassable. Our reporter Dolly Mwiregi Mbuvi with more details.
A group of students from the University of Nairobi have protested at the Higher Education Loan Board HELB offices located in Anniversary Towers on Monday. The students expressed their frustration regarding the long wait for financial support, leading them to attempt to force their way into the HELB offices while demanding immediate action from the authorities.
Most of these students and their friends in the hostels, they have no money. For a whole month now, they have been taken through circles and rounds. Now, say it is 1 month. Tuingia shule. Held by jaingia. Wengi wana kazi. Sio but number hakuna mambo za but numbers. So watuambie when will they give us our money? Because we are having a difficult time to survive.
In response, police intervened to disperse the crowd and restrict access to the HELB premises as they sought to prevent any potential disruptions in the CBD. Today's protest follows a previous ultimatum issued by UAN students on January 14th, where they gave a 7-day notice priorities from the government to address these loan delays or face larger demonstrations. However, transport on Nairobi's Thika Road was paralyzed for better part of Monday morning after students from Kenyatta University engaged in the second wave of protest in less than a week. The students took to the street in protest over loan delays, barricading both sides of the busy highway, leaving the highway near the university impassable. Elsewhere, in Nakuru County, Egerton University student on Monday issued an ultimatum to help to disperse funds within the next 12 hours. The student emphasized that they rely heavily on these funds for tuition fees, accommodation and daily living expenses, and that the overdue payment have caused significant financial distress. The issue of delayed loans has been ongoing since the beginning of the year. Students attending university and technical and vocational education and training TVET institution were part of the new funding model from the higher education loan boards continue to express their frustration over not having received the maintenance and tuition loans. Dolly Murigi for Hope TV.
As formed a study by Now, the impact of women's health and well-being in the wake of job losses has formed a study by the Aga Khan University in partnership with the Africa Population and Health Research Center. Now, the study on the gender transformative research has revealed that in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, a significant number of women were forced to spend more time in unpaid work, a move that greatly affected their health and well-being. Mudhoni Kariuki attended the release of the research findings and filed the report.
The study that was conducted in 17 countries focuses on the care economy, both paid and unpaid work, and its impact on women's health and well-being, particularly after the COVID-19 pandemic. The African Population and Health Research Center, APHRC, in partnership with the Aga Khan University, which released the findings today, said Africa in particular, so many women lose their paid employment and that these jobs have not been recovered. Dr. Kathleen Koyotugi, the executive director at the APHRC, said that the findings reveal that in the wake of the pandemic, a significant number of women have found themselves dedicating more time to unpaid work. Women are overburdened by care and domestic responsibilities, which has led to a notable rise in anxiety and depression in women.
And as you've seen from the results from these 23 research teams actually from different countries, that they are cross-cutting things. Women are affected in similar ways, but what is striking is that a lot of women are spending time on work that is not paid, but then this work actually has an impact on their health and well-being. And so when governments know that, when you think about what can governments do, that when you think about the health of women, it's not just women who are paid to work, that even women who are not paid to work, that work has an impact on their mental health, on their physical health. And so we should look at the contributions of women, appreciate them, but then also see how to put in place measures that make sure that women are healthy, because they make a huge contribution.
The study, which was carried out in 17 countries, is part of the Women Rising Initiative, was conducted by 23 research teams across Africa, Latin America, and Asia, with funding from the Canadian Institute of Health Research. Among the notable findings in the report include that 4 out of every 5 women have never recovered from the loss of their jobs post-pandemic. The research underscores the urgent need for policy changes to address these disparities. The government's response aims to create supportive measures for women engaged in both paid and unpaid work.
Given the government perspective regarding issues care policy, the government through the State Department for Gender and Affirmative Action has developed a care policy, national care policy. Now, this care policy, just like the researches that have been done in this program, look into the impact of care work, both paid and unpaid, for women, both employed and unemployed, in the health sector, at home, across all social structures.
Responding to the findings, Gender Secretary in the State Department of Gender and Affirmative Action, Dr. Josephine Obonyo, said the government recognizes the strain that women face in balancing care and domestic work. She pledged the government's commitment in implementing care policies that will improve women's health in both the paid and unpaid work to ensure the well-being of women in Kenya.
Now, the other thing that also is important regarding the care policy is to note that when it comes to pandemics, regarding the issue we're discussing here today, when it comes to pandemics, for example, like the COVID-19 pandemic, women then not only do the domestic work that they're required to do, but also work that is usually done by the healthcare workers. So this same woman is not only a woman who's doing the domestic work, the cooking and reproductive work that's also waiting for her, but at the same time, they're also the caregivers to the sick. And therefore, the policy is all-rounded, and it considers women holistically in all the work that they do.
Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Mudhoni Kariuki.
Well, many thanks, Mudhoni Kariuki, for the report. Now in Kisii County, the county government, in collaboration with the key stakeholders, is spearheading efforts to combat gender-based violence through the development of sustainable mitigation measures aimed at eliminating the vice. Speaking during a high-level consultative forum on GBV, Kisii County Executive Member of Health, Ronald Nyakweba, emphasized the county's commitment to ensuring that all residents, especially women and children, live free from violence and discrimination. Civil society organizations, including women's rights groups, legal aid organizations, and health providers, also called for collaborative approaches to curbing GBV, further urging law enforcement agencies to expedite justice for survivors and provide adequate training to officers handling GBV cases.
Kuhusia kwa kirefu ili jambo la gender-based violence ambao imekuwa sugu sana katika maeneo yetu mnamoishi, katika sio Kisii peke yake, katika Kenya yetu mzima, kwa sababu tumeona wanawake, wanaume wanauawa kiolela kwa sababu ya mambo ambayo tujui ni kwa nini jamii yetu imeharibika hivyo. Kwa hivyo sisi tumefika hapa tuweze kugusia kwa undani ni nini haswa kinasababisha hii mambo ya vita manyumbani. Ndio sababu tuweze kuwa na jawabu na mwelekeo mwafaka ya kuangalia mambo haya, ndio tuweze kupunguza vita katika miji yetu. Muhimu ambao linachangia sana vita katika jamii ni kwa sababu ya umaskini, na sisi kama serikali ya Kisii County tunaangazia jambo hili kwa kirefu, tuweze kuhakikisha kwamba tumewapatia watu wetu mambo ya kiuchumi sana yanachangia, na sisi kama serikali ya kaunti ya Kisii tunahakikisha kwamba tunapatia watoto wetu mishahara, bursaries tunaenda kupeana, watoto waweze kuenda shule. Wazazi tunawaambia kwamba nyinyi muengage kwa more productive activities ambazo zitawapatia muweze kupata income, ndio mkue busy. Otherwise tunajua when people are not busy they engage in other bad things in the society.
So we are here to call on this vice called femicide. Let us recognize the early warning signs. If the relationship is very toxic, you can leave out. So we are here to call even on the government to please protect the women of Kenya, because it is their responsibility for the women to exist peacefully in our country.
We are here to say let's not embrace gender-based violence. Together, we, women, male, together we can stop violence, together we can stop the killings, together we can stop gender-based violence.
Lazima ujikae kwa hiyo ndoa ama uweze kuketi pale kwenye hiyo maisha ambayo itakuletea kifo. Na pia tuko hapa, ukiona nyuma yangu tuko na wanaume pia ambao tunawaeleza zaidi, tunaweza kuwafunza na kuwaelimisha waweze kuelewa kwamba lazima maisha ipewe heshima yake.
Now on matters in security, residents of Cheptulel and Chesegon areas along the West Pokot and Elgeyo-Marakwet County borders point are now living in fear following fresh attacks after 8 months of relative peace in the restive Kerio Valley region. Now this is after National Police Reservist Clement Kiror was killed by suspected bandits from Elgeyo-Marakwet County at Apollo Trading Center The residents are now calling on Interior Cabinet Secretary, that is Kipchumba Murkomen, to intervene and mop up all illegal guns in the region as those committing the crimes are known. The fresh attacks have paralyzed operations in the region as many businesses have remained closed.
I have a child there, so it is difficult for me because my child is learning some behaviors that it's not good, like adult behaviors.
Kwa sababu kuna vijana wamezama huko na wameshindwa kutoka. Kijana anapatikana na msokoto wa bangi mmoja, anafungwa huko maisha. Lakini bado ule muuzaji bado anaendelea kuuza hizo dawa.
Msichukue sheria mikononi yako, na ni mzuri sasa nieleze ni kwamba wazee, imefika wakati sasa ambao sisi tushikane wote, wadau. Tushikane wote kabisa, kwa sababu ikiwa kama itakuwa mtindo, na hii barabara ambayo inapita ni tuko na very long barabara ndefu sana. Na hii barabara ndio unaona ifanye hii jimbo letu ijulikane.
Imeenda kwa magistrate, imeenda kwa chief, kwa deputy registrar, jaji angali yako, si ndio? Ukuje useme nimepitia kote sisaidiki. Na wajui kuna chain hata kuappeal. Hiyo ndio yote sababu tunawaita, because watu wengi hawaelewi mambo ya mahakama, ndio saa zingine wasema nimesikia hata yule alikuwa mambo ya hasla akiongea.
Well, we take a short commercial break. We'll be right back and take a look on Raila Odinga's chances in winning the AUC chairmanship position come the 15th of February 2025.
In a world where men often walk alone, who do they turn to for answers? Being male is a matter of birth, but being a man is a matter of choice. This is the dawn of something phenomenal. Fathers, sons, brothers, from the daily grind to the battles within, this is where real stories are told. A place where the silent struggles are given a voice, where the unspoken truths are laid bare. No holds barred. Coming to Hope TV, Hope FM, and online platforms. Premiering on 7th February 2025, every Friday, 7 to 8 p.m.
Facilitated by Reverend Jesse Moy. Hosted by George Gishiru and Henry Mutavi.
Let me also say this maybe to men. Yeah. Women are great money managers. They're actually better than men.
Yeah. I should not let my wife know how much I bring.
It affects our relationships big time just because we are not open.
Those things are killing men.
Brace yourself. This is Men on Record. It's more than just talk. It's a man thing.
I've actually been trying to find a balance. It's been really tough and hectic, but everyone says once you get a hang of it, it becomes better, and I don't know, but I'm hoping to find a balance soon because it's really been hectic. But you've been in the job industry for a long time, so I think you would know better. Sindio?
Huh? What time is it? I need to catch up on Leadership Forum. Do they have a radio here? Never mind. I brought my own.
No way. You can't be serious. Wait, why do you have a radio and you can just catch up with the shows on Hope FM podcast?
Really? Even Meet of the One?
Yeah. I mean, you can find them on whatever platform, name it. AfriPods, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it.
But I'm not subscribed on any of them.
So no worries. You can just check out the latest episodes on hopemediakenya.org.
You can now listen to select Hope FM programs on your favorite podcast streaming platform or directly on our website, www.hopemediakenya.org. Listen and live.
Now, welcome back to the broadcast. Now, with just under 2 weeks remaining until the African Union Commission chairperson elections take, the race for the continent's top leadership position is intensifying. Now, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga is among the front runners facing off against Djibouti's Foreign Minister Mahmoud Ali Yusuf and Madagascar's former Prime Minister, or rather Finance Minister, Richard Randriamandrato. Now, but what are the chances of Odinga winning the race? How does Kenya's diplomatic influence shape his bid? And if he does clinch the seat, will he make a political, or rather if he doesn't clinch the seat, will he make a political comeback at home? Our reporter Vincent Oduor breaks it down.
With barely 2 weeks remaining for the African chairmanship elections, which are set for February 15th and February 16th, campaigns have been gaining momentum as contestants gear up to clinch the top African seat. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, Kenya's long-term serving opposition leader, will face on with Djibouti's Foreign Minister Mohamed Ali Yusuf and Madagascar's former Finance Minister Richard Randriamandrato in a highly contested journey towards Addis Ababa. This, even as experts shed light on the chances that each candidate has to unseat Musa Faki Mohammed as the chairman of African Union.
You look at the Sahel, for example, because, they will be voting. The heads of state in the Sahel will be voting. There are about 4 heads of state. Those are 4 votes. Kenya, if Kenya loses 4 votes from the Sahel just because President Ruto has shown a favoritism to France, then that may cost Raila Odinga votes on that front.
Led by the head of state, different leaders from different political spheres in the country have been loud and open in defense of Odinga's candidacy, terming him as best and fit, with both national and international experience in the political sphere.
He has experience managing local politics. He knows what carries sway with a politician or a head of state. In terms of experience and vision, if we were to award between 0 to 100, then I think he would score maybe 20 on both vision and experience. We are talking about experience, not just local political experience. We are talking about experience on the continent.
With Malawi and Cameroon joining the bucket list of Odinga's 23 endorsement countries, Odinga, whose support majorly is reflected from Eastmans, in order to meet the threshold of the 2/3 to clinch the top position. Experts feel that endorsement pattern is highly reflected by the Kenya's relationship with other African nations and Kenya's role in peacekeeping mission, especially in Somalia and Democratic Republic of Congo.
And having consulted with the heads of state of our region, we will be convening an extraordinary East African Community Summit within the next 48 hours to facilitate and to deliberate on this crisis and chart a way forward. This is in line with the East African Community Summit's decision of November 2024, which called for constructive engagement to address this conflict. I thank both President Tshisekedi and President Kagame.
Seeking to return to the African Union after serving as the High Representative for Infrastructural Development, Raila's bid comes at a time when Africa faces a lot of challenges, and Kenyans are calling on him to ensure abductions and extrajudicial killings are put to a stop.
In case kama Raila atawini AU, tunaomba ya kwamba kama kuna maendeleo kutoka kwa AU iweze kufika kwa nchi yetu, na mipango mingi ile mizuri kutoka kwa AU iweze kufika huko nje. Tutafurahia kwa sababu atakuwa amepata kwa nafasi kwa ajili pia ya Kenya, ikiwa anaongoza nchi zingine pia nasi huku ni nyumbani. tunamtarajia alete mazuri kutoka AU, maendeleo, mipango mzuri.
Raila akienda kushinda atatuangalia usalama. Unajua usalama wa maisha ndio kitu ya muhimu. Tuache kupigwa na tuache kushikashikwa ovyo, tuache kusumbuliwa. Hiyo tutashukuru sana akienda apate. Tunajua mambo itakuwa mzuri, atatengeneza mambo yote na
Now, apologies for the technical hitch right there. Now, the conflict in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, is a complex web of ethnic tensions, colonial-era boundaries, and fierce competition for mineral wealth. The M23 rebels, ethnic Tutsis, and external powers have all played a role in the violence that has plagued the region for years. Now, but as international and regional efforts to bring peace intensify, the situation is far from being resolved. Tonight, our political affairs reporter Kennedy Kimani takes a close look at what's driving the ongoing conflict and its wider implications for the region and beyond.
The eastern region of the Democratic Republic of Congo, particularly the Kivu provinces, has long been a hotbed of conflict. The DRC is rich in minerals like cobalt and coltan, which are vital resources used in electronics and batteries, making it one of the most valuable regions in the world. However, this wealth has also made it a target for armed groups, local militias, and foreign interests. At the center of the current violence is the M23 rebel group. Composed largely of ethnic Tutsi fighters, the group emerged in 2012 after former fighters from the National Congress for the Defense of the People rebelled against the Congolese government, accusing it of failing to implement the 2009 peace agreement. This agreement was meant to integrate Tutsi fighters into the national army, protect ethnic minorities, and ensure equitable distribution of resources in the region. When the government failed to follow through, M23 was born, and the group has since become one of the most persistent threats in eastern DRC. Recently, the M23 has taken control of key territories, heightening tensions in the region. The DRC government has accused neighboring Rwanda of supporting the rebels, providing them with weapons and military backing, allegations that Rwanda has repeatedly denied. Despite the denials, these accusations have worsened diplomatic relations between the two countries and have made the international community take notice.
What do we want to do?
The involvement of Rwanda in the conflict is tied to both security concerns and access to the DRC's valuable resources. Rwanda fears the presence of Hutu militias in eastern DRC, militias responsible for the 1994 genocide in Rwanda, and sees the M23 as an ally in weakening these groups. Rwanda's role has sparked a backlash, especially from South Africa, which has deployed troops as part of the United Nations peacekeeping mission. Just last week, 13 South African peacekeepers and 3 from Malawi were killed in clashes with the M23 rebels. According to law and governance expert Philip Mwangale, these deaths have intensified calls for a ceasefire and greater international intervention.
So M23 is about nationalization of the Tutsi-speaking Congolese in eastern DRC. It's just that. It's a political question, and one that has, been escaped by succeeding presidents after Laurent Kabila and the East African community at large. The minerals have very little to do with the conflict in DRC. I've mentioned the nationalization interests of the M23 and the Tutsi-speaking Congolese. We must also note that you have over 50 fighting groups in eastern DRC.
The pressure is mounting as the East African Community and South African Development Community both held emergency meetings in the past week. The SADC summit, chaired by Zimbabwe's president, underscored the growing regional instability and emphasized the bloc's commitment to peace in the region. But the path to peace is complicated, with M23 demanding greater autonomy for Tutsis in the region, while the DRC government and its international partners continue to push for the rebels' disbandment.
President Paul Kagame of Rwanda has come out clear. He hasn't minced his words. He has not, maintained the covers that we are used to seeing presidents have. He has called out President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa. He has called out Tshisekedi, president of DRC, and he has called out the peace processes that have been in motion. The only thing that has achieved is that it has now brought certain sympathies to Paul Kagame, because he has come out clear saying certain people, certain presidents are pretenders. They were not for the process. They were there to earn a name. The other thing it has succeeded in doing is it has made the world, and more so the rest of the continent, become more aware of the conflict in DRC. We are not just seeing these things happening today. Congo has lost close to 5 million people since 1997 in this conflict. So that is a very huge number, and it is good that the meetings between the heads of state have pointed us to the very issue.
Amid the violence, the humanitarian situation continues to worsen. Millions of people have been displaced by the fighting, with little to no access to food, shelter or medical aid. The situation has placed immense pressure on international aid organizations and has further exacerbated the suffering of civilians caught in the crossfire. Experts warn that unless political stability is restored, the crisis will continue to spiral out of control and lasting peace will remain out of reach.
Recognizing the minority Tutsis in the DRC, as simple as that, and reintegrating the M23 back into the DRC Defense Forces. That was on the table in 2000 when Laurent Kabila, and Kagame and Museveni were at the table. That has been on the table with the Nairobi and Luanda processes. It is just a matter of implementation. So unless the rest of the DRC wants to annihilate the minority Tutsis in Eastern DRC, that would be the easiest solution. And M23 has expressed willingness to quickly cede ground if that very simple demand was met.
The conflicts in the eastern parts of the DRC persist, deepening the humanitarian crisis and leaving millions in limbo. Despite regional efforts, lasting peace remains uncertain. Kennedy Kimani, Hope TV Newswatch, Nairobi.
Now in Matter Sports, home player Martin Mengech, that is handicap 45, delivered a stellar performance, carding an impressive 46 points to win the overall winner title at the NCBA Golf Series at the Par 72 Nandi Bears Golf Club. The tournament held over the weekend saw participations of over 150 golfers drawn from across the region, that is including Kakamega County, Kericho and Eldoret golf clubs. In the men's category, Boaz Sugut, playing off handicap 21, took first place with 39 points, claimed victory in the ladies category, or rather Joyce Rotich claimed victory in the ladies category, scoring an impressive 45 points. Now, speaking at the event, NCBA branch manager, that is Kapsabet branch manager, reiterated the bank's commitment to supporting golf in the region, ensuring that both amateur and professional players have opportunities to compete, improve and grow within the sports. Now, two-time Loop Safari Gravel Series champion Jordan Schleck successfully defended his title in the 120-kilometer elite race at the first leg of the 2025 Loop Safari Gravel Series held at Tattoo City. Schleck delivered a commanding performance, clinching the top spot with a remarkable time of 3 hours 42 minutes and 6 seconds. In the women's elite category, Savrine Nirere emerged victorious, clocking an incredible time of 4 hours 6 minutes and 5 seconds. Now, the first leg of the series witnessed an impressive turnout of over 500 elite and recreational cyclists from across East Africa who braved the challenging terrain and scenic plains of Tattoo City. Now, speaking at the event, Loop Digital Financing Services CEO Eric Muriuki underscored its commitment to sustainability by facilitating the participants in planting trees during the event, further contributing to the environmental conservation efforts.
Just finished the 60 km. Very, very enjoyable. You should have been out there. Big thanks to the organizers, everyone who's come in and made this thing so much fun. This was a proper gravel ride.
Today's race at Loop Gravel Safari Series at Tattoo City has been pretty good, a bit hot. Yeah, but enjoyable, a bit technical, the rough sections. Yeah, but all in all, it has been enjoyable. You know, it's a good place like for us who do international races to test up our legs with our development team. So yeah, it's a good start, you know. There are lots of things you can always improve on, but yeah, it's a good place to showcase what we have in the legs.
Well, we wrap it there. Many thanks for your company tonight. My name is Sammy Adika, and our sign language interpreter has been Boniface Mureithi. Do have an amazing night. Goodbye.